Hey everyone, and welcome to another week of the Meadows and Makers podcast. And this is brought to you here on MSP Waves. And thank you all for coming to hang out. As always, my name is Greg Dowd, also known as Making Stuff on the steemit blockchain. And this podcast is all about bringing on people that are doing inspiring things to live in a life that's more geared towards self-reliance and abundance. And I try to bring on interesting people from all walks of life, and come and bring them onto the show to inspire you to, kind of look for that abundance in your own life and move toward that path yourself. So today we have a really cool guest that's going to come on the show. Diggingdeeper.com is his handle on the steemit blockchain. Recently created a steemit community here on the steemit blockchain. He's into kind of a jack of all trades, blacksmith, website creator, and into voluntary solutions, and we're going to get into it today. Before we get started, I want to do the show disclaimer for you guys. Is the views and opinions that are expressed on this show and are my own and those of my guests. And Rondon corrected me there. Steemit is not a blockchain. And so the views and opinions are my own and those of my guests, and they do not reflect on MSP Waves and the wonderful people that keep this operation going around here. If you have any issues, feedback, or anything like that, please send them my way, and I'd love to hear your feedback and comments and people that I should bring on as guests in the future, and we'll work to make that happen for you. And so this the show is a big thing for me, and to get some information out to the community. So the motto I have for my show is that I will be in inextinguishable light of possibilities for myself and others. And without further ado, I would like to bring on my guest, Digging Deeper. And let me see, looks like he popped out of the live on air there for a second. So let me pull him back in here. And hey, Digging Deeper, how you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. So what I like to do with all my guests is to have you maybe give a little bit of background about yourself, and kind of how you got involved in steemit, since you're a fellow Steemian. What brought you here in the beginning, and how did you get into blacksmithing and all that kind of stuff too?
Oh, the whole story. um, as far as Steam goes, I was into open source and Bitcoin and all that stuff. And honestly, I didn't really think much of Steam at first until it was probably a good year old, and everybody else seemed to think it was working out, and got on there and started playing around with it when it was back when it was 7 cents a token, and started building up my account from there.
Okay, cool. And so yeah, we were talking last night, and you've been into blacksmithing for a while, and what brought you to get into that in the beginning?
Well, I had to hold my mom's horses when I was a kid, and fire and metal and stuff like that. Horses, who could resist, right? So I
Yeah.
bothered, pestered him until he finally let me spend about an hour pulling my own horse's shoes, and here I am, almost 30 years later, and it's been a great career. I'm a horseshoer, which is, it's different than a blacksmith, but I do have blacksmithing training. I
Okay.
apprenticed with a world-renowned blacksmith named Roy Bloom. He's world-renowned in the farrier business industry anyway, making forging tools, hammers, tongs, pritchels, top tools, and all that. He was a competitor too. Believe it or not, there's a pretty good-sized farrier competition series And so he was a national competitor blacksmith, and I got to apprentice with him, and that's how I made a career to pay my bills. And
Oh wow.
oddly enough, that's what led me into open source and blockchain stuff because I have a lot of time sitting around, well, working and listening to podcasts and stuff, and that's how I got an interest in heading this direction.
Wow. So, yeah, the apprenticeship kind of thing is something that has kind of come and gone in the. Well, it's just this. It's very seldom you see a lot of apprenticeships nowadays. How did you really enjoy having like being able to learn from somebody firsthand and then being your mentor and how to kind of navigate the business and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and so I'm 45 now. So I was apprenticing in the early 90s is when I started, and I believe that for our industry, I was at the tail end of the apprenticeship scheme, whereas nowadays
Okay.
it's all schools, and it's really hard to get someone to take you on as an apprentice because of the commitment, the time, and kids these days, they they want to work 9 to 5 with an hour paid lunch, and that just doesn't fly. And they want to be paid, a good wage while they're apprenticing, and that's just silly. And so
Yeah.
it isn't working anymore. Nobody wants to take that on.
Yeah. 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 So as a farrier, and is there a lot of are is there like I guess it's kind of a niche thing now because not everybody has horses, or are there a lot of people that have horses for their farms? And I mean, is it pretty easy to get work as a farrier?
It's not easy. I mean, I'm sure every industry would probably tell you the same, but um, it's the people. These are pets, so at least my clientele, I shoot for the higher end clientele, and that's going to be pets for the most part. And they're very particular. They're not going to hire just anybody, and so you have to basically go through an apprenticeship or something to gain some reputation before you step out there. And so that's something that a lot of younger people are having a hard time with, and even me, been in it and been around a lot. It's hard to pick up new business. There's a limited amount, and they're very particular. And now, I mean, we can go into a whole other conversation about the market is dying. I mean, I live east of Cincinnati, and it's a fraction of what it was 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
Everybody's getting rid of the middle class in the horse industry is gone, and there's a lot of barns shutting down and people getting out. Little girls aren't getting into it like they used to.
Yeah, because it almost seems like there's this big shift in our society that's happening where we're really moving away from anything that's like physical and moving into all digital stuff. It seems like you kind of see that happening. Like people are doing less with their hands and being out, being outdoors, being with animals, kind of stuff, and more like shifting towards at least the like maybe the mainstream society is more shifting towards being indoors a lot and being on digital devices all the time. I mean, we're on them on steemit and cryptocurrency stuff. Like I know I'm on my equipment a lot. I'm still trying to do a homestead and work a part-time job, and yeah, it's I love the outdoors, but yeah, it seems to me that there's a lot fewer people willing to do things with their hands anymore.
Yeah, I have to agree with that wholeheartedly. And even these girls, they're just passionate with impassioned or whatever with horses. Like you can't get them off, or in the past anyway, that's what it was. They would do anything to pet a horse, ride a horse, just to be around them, and it's really died off. And that's just what I see. It's little girls growing up to be horse ladies, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's not there. It surprises me. Like I have young boys, and they're really attracted to screens and digital things, but I wouldn't have. I have girls too, and They
Yeah.
have no interest in digital anything for the most part. So I don't know what it is with these kids, these girls, horse girls. It's probably that, but I think it's more too. And I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, it's funny. I had an old, one of my old coworkers and my mentor when I was working. I worked for the University of Alabama in Huntsville for a little while, and he always asked the question, why women were so into horses, why there were so many women that were so into horses, and I guess maybe it's like some kind of magical thing or something like that for some girls or something like that, but. He always asked that question. He was like, "Why are there so many women that are into horses?"
It's a good question I've never figured out, and I've spent my entire life around that. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot
Yeah,
of fellas missing the mark where they could go find a great place to be. A lot of options.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Pensive just asked a question in the audience. He asked, "Is insurance an issue?" He says, "In the UK, ever increasing insurance costs has closed a lot of horse riding schools." So I guess yeah, like people getting injured from horse riding and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear that a lot, even here in the States. Insurance is huge, but so is everything. I mean, the price of everything has gone up so much. It's $100,000 to start to get a rig to haul these horses around. It's
Wow.
uh, hay is, right now we have goats, but anyway, she's looking for hay. It's $8 to $12 a bale of hay. It used to be a couple, $5 maybe.
Whoa, wow.
Um, Prices for professionals have gone up a lot. Um, you have to have land, you have to have a rig, you have to have fencing and equipment, and all those things are all going up. So, and and people with the middle class, so to speak, just can't make that work anymore. So it's left to the rich, and I think they're just getting tired of it too. But that's insurance is definitely a huge thing. I hear a lot though, but the price of everything seems to be going up.
Well, absolutely. When the Federal Reserve is printing money like there's no end, they really don't have any options now with them, moving interest rates lower. That they only have two options: they can move interest rates lower, or they can print more money. And it looks like they're going to continue the printing presses until this whole thing comes down. And yeah, this it's going to make it very difficult for everyone in the coming future because I believe we're going to hit some kind of hyperinflation event. Um, it's going to be a global thing, in my opinion.
Hard to debate that one. We've been saying it for a long time and haven't seen it come, but I mean, I can't believe it hasn't. So it's hard to debate.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just I think one of the great solutions, and if you can see this, then I think it behooves everyone to gain some skills and to try to be as self-reliant as possible and to use what we have as our current technology. And I'm very hopeful for the future because of what exists now in current technology. But the question is, are we gonna be freaking out, or are we gonna be strong and bond together through a crisis and use some of the current technologies that exist right now? And that kind of brings me to the next question: is that you're getting involved with open source ecology, which is an outfit that is led by Marcin Jakubowski, that they're working on a bunch of the industrialized tool sets you would need to create a modern society, and open sourcing all of those designs to the world, all the hardware that they're developing. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about this open source ecology STEAM camp and how you learned about it and what's going to go on there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great segue because that's what I think is our best available option is open sourcing the production of the things that we need, and it adds all the way through the entire tool chain. And that's what they're doing with this these Steam camps. And it's Steam is in not Steam the blockchain, but actually I can't remember what it stands for right this second. But um,
Science,
so that
technology, engineering, and math, or something like that.
that sounds about right. Yep. So they're trying to create learning situations for people to the camp that is coming up that I'm going to in Virginia. We're going to build a 3D printer, and then the tool set all the way up to CNC machines and the fabrication tools to build from small to large machines. The whole pipeline.
Yeah, so that is it's been once I learned about open source ecology and Marcin Jakubowski's work, I was immediately it was something that I could see as well. Is that if people have the ability to have like micro factories in every town where you could bypass the entire manufacturing corporate manufacturing system as it stands now, you could you wouldn't have to you could probably process and handle materials on a local level. You don't have the distribution issues that kind of make the system as it stands right now is kind of you're dependent on that just in time delivery kind of system. And it could really create little industries in every little town across the world, really.
Yeah, we have all the tools too, and that's what's really exciting. We have, for example, something like Open Bazaar where we can do all of our trading. We have all sorts of collaborative tools that like Nextcloud, for example, to collaborate with completely, and the ability to make a 3D printer from off the shelf parts. And it's just a matter of honing the processes and teaching people and getting people out there. And probably getting people out there is going to be the hardest part, of course. But we have what it takes. I think we just have to get out there and do it now.
I'm in 100% agreement. All the tools exist right now to make the bypass of the current system possible and available, and the networks that can be built between like-minded people that are working on these little micro factories can be established, and we can bypass the entire system as it stands right now, and create our own interconnected economy. Samuel Edward Konkin talked about it and called it, coined the term agorism, and it's using the black and gray markets, which are underneath the traditional out in the open white markets, which are surveilled and everything, and so I think
Well, that's
that is
why I
a
think,
big solution.
yeah, and I think open source completely undermines even the black and gray markets in the sense that there is nothing you can fight with open source. Like it is as morally high of a there's nothing bad about open source. Nobody is going to fight and say, well, you can't share your ideas. Besides, maybe corporations, but we can get around that. But like gray and black markets that have a connotation of your bad guys there, even there. But and
Yeah.
even with us, it's hard to start talking to the mainstream people saying, oh, we need to use the underground markets. Open source is
Well,
it's a morally superior sales platform, I think.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I mean, any transaction you do, like say over like a yard sale, would be considered a gray market transaction. I mean, and it's not a scary thing. It's something that people are doing all the time, so a lot of people are agorists and they don't even realize it. It's just being able to be free to transact in a free market. And so, anytime that you go to a yard sale, you're participating in a gray market. So it's
Yeah, good point.
it's not a scary thing as people think.
No, but I do think this will continue to bring that to a whole nother level. I mean, for us agorists, that would, we're trying not to be taxed in any way. I mean, it's going to be damn difficult to find a way to suck the value out of what we're trying to do here when we're giving stuff away all day long, but we're still making money.
Yeah. And I think right now it is very important to really build your networks and the people around you in your local community that have a similar mindset, and try and that's one of the focuses that I'm going to be focused on this year, is to try to get some live workshops going and try to get more local people involved in the community and host some meetups and stuff of people that are interested in agorism and homesteading and permaculture and things like that, to really start building out a good solid network of people that are around in the local community. Because I think as we're going through these changes right now, there could be some tumultuous times, and the choice is going to be, do people bond together and get through it and rely on each other and do that, or do we live in fear and we are fearful of each other, and we look for solutions in the external world, like from governments offering some kind of solution or something like that? I think those are the two options that are coming upon us right now.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect time to do it too. I think there's been enough time for people to think about new systems and realize that there are better ways to do it, and now it's probably a good time to get them together and start doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Pensif brings up a good point in the chat. He says the current COVID pandemic shows the problem of dependence on the global supply chains. Many companies are now having issues as they can't get their parts from China, and so this is another reason to have a decentralized supply chain and localized production.
Imagine how resilient we'd be if we didn't depend on anything outside of our communities, but we could go outside of our communities and get those needs met anyway if we needed.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, I mean, imagine if you're listening out there, imagine just all these self-sufficient little micro factory communities that are building their own tools and their own equipment, and you have, instead of going to a hardware store, you go down to your local micro factory, maybe turn in some resources that you have, and then it's transformed into tooling that you need or something like that, and so that you can create the project that you need and things like that, instead of having to go to these big box stores that may not have the supplies you need because it had to come from another country. So
Yep, it's. I remember hearing people talking about 3D printers, like Mark Edge. If anybody listens to Free Talk Live, he's going on about how you will eventually be able to pull the schemes off from the internet to print out all the parts and pieces, and then we just have to put it all together again. And I, with the open source ecology project, it's that, and then all the way up to large machines like dozers and trenchers and things like that we can use on our farm. So there are no gaps, hopefully, within the tools that we can produce.
yeah, and the open source ecology guys, I kind of about a year and a half ago, I interviewed with them to participate in this early program where they're going to start to go out and teach these workshops and spread out through different communities throughout the country. And then their big vision is to have these areas all over the world where you have these little micro factories and little learning centers where it's like a hacker maker space that can teach you how to do things like aquaponics and make your own tooling through 3D printing and CNC welding machine, or like CNC plasma cutter machines, and like all this kind of tooling and stuff is the kind of the big vision of this thing. And I think where they're starting at is what you're talking about is the 3D printer. And from what I understand, you don't have to the 3D printer that they have is like a universal design, and it's like you can scale it up if you want, and it's like connecting with magnets, and they're using like JB Weld to put together the frame, so you don't even need welding. Are they still? Is that what they're going to do with the 3D printer design? From your knowledge, do you understand?
Yep, that's my understanding. And then they have the ability to scale up to industrial size machines. They've got the Pro version, which has a pretty good size plate to print onto. And yeah, like you said, it's not just a 3D printer to produce plastics, but they have metal CNC machines and plasma cutters too to cut out parts, build parts. And they're I'm going to probably say this wrong, but they have a wire feed. The process where they can print from wire feed with to make metal parts.
Oh, really? Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it now, but I forget what the name of that is. Of course, I bumble with everything when I'm trying to talk to somebody about these things.
Okay, so is this going to be the first event that they do like this? Is the first Steam camp that they're putting on?
They've done they've done one already, and this is the second one, and they've tightened it up quite a bit from what it sounds like from the first one. They learned quite a bit. So this is number two, and it's 4 places throughout the world, all at the same time. They're going to do it all at once. So like, I'm going to be in Richmond, Virginia, and it starts at 1, goes to 10 p.m., and that's to meet time to have all 4 places throughout the world go at the same time.
Wow, wow. So they're gonna start this off. Everybody's gonna be learning together at the same time across different locations in the world.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow, wow, very cool. So, how many people are going to be in each? Are you going to be put into a group of people that are working on building like one printer, and and
Oh, everybody builds their own machines, and you bring them home when you're done. So you'll have a machine, a Raspberry Pi, a CNC nozzle, and some other stuff and things too. But everybody builds their own, and that's what you bring home to get to work.
oh wow, okay, so so cool.
That
So you're
was
starting.
that your question?
Yeah, so everybody gets their own machines, and then it's what a four it's a 4 day thing, or
Yeah, it's a 4 day thing. You'll build a printer, a plotter attachment, and a milling attachment, and you will assemble an electronics kit to have a Raspberry Pi control the whole thing.
okay, cool. So yeah, just to remind everybody in the audience, what we're talking about is the not Steam It, but or Steam as in our social media that we really love. But this is STEAM, STEAM, which is like science, technology, engineering, and math camp, which is going to be hosted by an outfit called Open Source Ecology. And it's happening or it's happening in March in Richmond, Virginia, right? Here in the U.S.
Yeah, it's Boston, Richmond, New Zealand, and somewhere something up in Washington.
Okay. So if anybody's interested in that, I posted the link in the Discord group, and then I'll also be posting this with the show notes after the recording is posted. There's a question in the audience from First Amendment. He's asking how much is this thing going to cost to do this 4-day camp and walk away with the machines?
$1,100 plus expenses.
Hey, that's not too bad.
It's not at all, in my opinion, for the education that you can get. I mean, the printer aside, it's all about learning how to cooperate to build these things and the processes and the technology, and that's all. Being able to use FreeCAD or CAD software, there's a lot of those skills to be learned, but the fundamental learning really is the collaboration and the tools to collaborate. So, I mean, it looks like it's going to be a lot of useful tools coming out of it, more than just the physical ones.
Yeah, and so you can even take what you've learned and how to build these things. You can take that back to your community. You could even start hosting your own physical workshops, right?
That is exactly the point that they're trying to accomplish, is to create more creators, more people who can spread this to more people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be vital, and it's going to be a really important thing for people in your local area to be able to replicate. Have more people that can replicate these things, and you just kind of build out a little maker community based on what you can teach in your local area. So So are they going to give you some tools after you come away from the camp? I know I talked to when I did the interview with Marcin. He was talking about if you become a collaborator and you have a little maker space or something like that, they'd help you organize or help you with workshops and different things like that. Um, is that something that they're going to do after this, or is this just like you get the tools and you're free to go do whatever you want as far as hosting your own events and stuff?
Oh, you're completely free to pursue either of those options, and OSE sounds more than willing to work with you and encourages working with you to help you build up some sort of viable business plan. And that's the incentive. That's the they're that's what they're hoping people will do, is build their own businesses using these makerspace and teaching opportunities that they're trying to create for with you here. So yeah, you can do what you want, and they're hoping to work with you to continue on making more teachers and allow you to build a business with these tools and skills.
Yeah, that's excellent, man. I think you're talking me into going to this thing, and myself. Are they? I guess it's like they're just gonna keep on taking people. There's no cap on how many people can come in and take the program.
Well, I'm sure there's physical limits, and I
Yeah,
don't think they're anywhere near those because, I think the problem is going to be, as we've been discussing, getting people to actually do stuff. It's
yeah,
hard. I've got 5 kids in a business, and I'm going to have to take 5 days off at least because it's 8 hours away from me. So one on each side potentially, plus the 4 days. That's $1,000 for the for the
for the course.
admissions. Yeah, the course, and I need a hotel room and food and what have you. So
Yeah,
that's kind of a big deal to get out there and do that.
yeah.
So I think that's going to be a challenge, and that's why they're trying to grow it and make it more available. But anyway, my point is I don't think it's overbooked at this point. So
I got you. I
um,
got you.
yeah, I think they have a lot of room. And if you think this is interesting, you should look at their website and see the extreme build stuff they're planning for the next version.
Oh, okay. So they want to go and up the game after this step, which is the basic kind of 3D printer and things like that. They want to up it to more larger machines and stuff, huh?
Yeah, this is step number one, and they have. It looks like, from what I can tell, they've been working for 2, 3 years. Well, longer than that, putting this all together, and launch time is now, and so it's on, and they're going to just continuously um, have these and more advanced options as they go from here on out.
Wow, that's cool, man. I I'm
He
super
just
stoked in this. Yeah, this is really good.
he's either still in Bailey's or Martian that is. Just went down to Bailey's to build they call it a CEB micro house build, where they're using um, these kinds of tools to and process open source processes to build a little house. And I've
Oh,
seen talking where they're going to be able to print these things, and the ways that they're doing them are super cheap, super reliable. Nice, um, nice option for somebody. And then they're going to go on with they call it the Summer of Extreme Design build, where they're going to continue on. That's very expensive, if you ask me, and not like it's not worth it, but $5,000 if you go to their location and work with them. But that's like a
that
month or two at a time.
now that would be down in Belize.
No, I'm sorry. I'm confusing you. I imagine, but no. This is at
Their main
Martin's
their main
place. Yeah, which I
location
think is
in
Illinois.
in oh, okay, yeah, or yeah, yeah, somewhere in the Midwest. Yeah, I
I'm
believe.
thinking Illinois, but I'm not sure. Somewhere
Okay,
out. No. Oh
Missouri
heck.
maybe.
Yeah, you're probably right there. That sounds right.
Okay, okay. So that would be an entire, you know, maybe a couple month long program then.
Yeah, absolutely. But they do have a remote option, so you can cooperate with them if you have uh, the the desire and the ability to just do it on your own. If you have a shop or somewhere to work and build these tools in with them.
Okay, so yeah, man, I'm really excited that this is something that he's got going on because I think for the longest time he was relying just on donations solely, and that really kind of I think that really halted the progress that they were making with all the things that they're Marchand's trying to do. And now they've adopted a capitalist model where they're offering these workshops and providing value from everything that these guys have learned and how to teach and everything. And now they're going to be able to expand more as they can grow and more people take these workshops and find value in them and can spread that out. So I think it's really good that he adopted that kind of business model.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely necessary. And look where we're going now. Now they are making pretty what looks to me like pretty quick progress getting these things out to students who want it and making it available and rocking and rolling.
Yeah, yeah. So that's interesting. You're talking about the 3D printing of houses. I was recently at the Acapulco in Acapulco, Mexico, and there is an outfit called Ocean Builders that spawned out of the whole seasteading project. And it's one guy is the CEO of the company, Grant, that he was working on something called the Freedom Ship Project, but it was like a gigantic project where they're going to build like this like really huge ship, but it was going to cost like billions of dollars to create. And so now their focus is they built this one prototype seastead that was outside. It was a spar that was outside of Thai waters that they proved could be used. It was 13 miles out in the ocean, and they proved that you could live on it. And they had a couple people live on it, Chad and Nadia. There's a whole story behind that. The Thai government thought they were invading the country and came and tried to
Yeah.
arrest them and all that. And but they fled, and now they're setting up shop in Panama because Panama is really receptive to this. And they are 3D printing seastead houses. They're calling them sea pods, and so and that and to me that's like the transition that of humanity and human society moving into a more like type 1 civilization kind of thing, being able to create these things, being able to live on the sea, is just kind of like the next step, I think, for being able to live out in space and all that kind of stuff too. So it's really exciting times to be alive. There's a lot happening in different areas that I think a lot of people aren't seeing. It's not being televised, but there's a lot of pieces coming together right now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think it sounds cliche, I'm sure, but this has got to be the most exciting time that's ever been to be alive with all the things that we can do now, all the options, even with all the shit stuff that we have to deal with. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
What
I'm excited. I know I'm excited.
what kind of material are they using for these ships?
For the sea pods, I'm not entirely sure all the materials they're going to use, but I know I talked to the CEO and he said that they're gonna a lot of the interior is going to be Korean, which is that it's like the stuff that they use in restaurants for tabletops and stuff like that. They're using that a lot on the interior of the sea pods, and then they're going to. I'm not sure if they're. I don't think they're going to be using plastics to 3D print the thing. But I talked to him. I talked to Grant, and it's an open invitation for anybody that wants to come down to Panama and come see the operation that's going down there. Uh, it's they're just getting kicked off. They're looking for innovators and people that can create technologies that can go in these sea pod buildings and integrate into some of their current designs. They have a smartphone app which will be able to monitor everything that's going on inside the sea pod and kind of make it like a smart home kind of thing. And they are buying. It'll be the largest 3D printer in Latin America, and it's gonna the 3D printer is gonna print the entire pod out, and so it's like 25 by 30 feet or something like that by like 20 feet tall or something like that. It's going to be a massive 3D printer, and they're going to have to use a little bit of artificial intelligence to have the printer learn and improve itself on each print job and stuff like that. So fascinating, man. It's
Oh man, that is pretty whacked.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's going on in Panama right now, and they're offering. The company is called Ocean Builders, and it was the best it was the most exciting project that I saw at on Acapulco. It was they're really making steps. They're pouring concrete right now for their little incubator lab for where they're going to be printing the pods, and then they're going to have some tools in there for innovators and inventors and entrepreneurs to come and kind of work in the incubator to help build technologies for the sea pods, and they're going to help you get these things marketed and integrated into their systems and everything. So really, really cool project. And these guys are the ones that are taking action. The guy put in a lot of his own money to make it happen, and they got investors, and they're going to be like selling these things as like timeshare kind of sea pods, or like you can buy a timeshare in a sea pod or whatever to like make it affordable for smaller people to get involved in this. So they got a really good business model from what I've seen.
I wonder if they'd be interested in using open processes and sharing their processes.
I believe absolutely they would, yeah. And they're
They could get a lot more development done more quickly there, I would imagine, if they.
absolutely they're looking for all the any help they can, and I think I actually got I went and talked to them, and there's they do a podcast, and I'm sure they would they love to hear from people that are like engineers and people that are creating things, makers, and all kinds of stuff that are trying to push the technologies for creating and manifesting abundance, and that can be integrated in these sea pods and stuff, and so I talked to one of the girls that does a seasteading podcast, uh, and and they invited me on to come onto that podcast, and then I'm going to try to get these guys on my podcast in the future here, and try to link them up with some people that I know that can help make that more of a reality too.
Yeah, I'm curious if the people at OSE and them might make a good team, a good connection at least.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're
That'll be
doing
one of my
similar.
goals. Yeah, is to link up Marchin with Grant of Ocean Builders. They would probably be a really great team to work together.
Yeah, they seem to be at least somewhat aligned. And so, do you think these people, the ocean builders, are doing this for like environmental reasons, or are they doing it for more politically philosophic reasons, or all the above, or do you know?
It's all of the above, yeah. So when they gave their video, and to everybody that is here in the audience today, I have my own Discord server, and I'll drop the invite link in here for you guys to come and join the server. But I took little videos of each one of the presentations at Anarchapulco this year, and for copyright reasons or whatever, there was issues with people posting these online in the previous year, and so but nothing stops you from going into somebody's server or little community and checking out the videos. I took short videos of each one of the talks that I went to at Anarchapulco this year. So if you're interested in checking out those videos, go into my Discord server, and then they're under the link of Anarchapulco 2020 media. So you can go check out the videos that I took, and I labeled each one on the files, and so you can download the file and check out the video and share it around with all the people that you want. So there you go.
That's kind of interesting that Anarchapulco is pushing down on copyright.
Yeah, and that's if you go look at some of the guys, Kenny's Conscious Kitchen, Kenny Paltriano, he wrote a big write up on that the previous year, and that's one of the big gripes on people at the event. There was one of the guys that I met went to Anarchadelphia this year, and Jeff is also known as the Gasman Report on YouTube. He recorded all the main stage speakers and he uploaded them to YouTube. And then the lady that organizes the event, Jessica Kill, issued a copyright strike against his videos and had him removed had him take down those videos from YouTube. And so that became a big thing of contention that last year. And that woman, if you go look into Jessica Kill, she has ties with Hollywood and with the Obama administration and all these people in the political sphere. So it's a little weird that brought that person in to be the head of Anarchapulco. So yeah, it's this year the attendance was down greatly, and it was I think one of the big contributors is what they're trying to do and making it like this big. They're like corporatizing the event and stuff like that. So So that was a big discussion this year, and some of the stuff that's going on with that lady organizing the event is very questionable. So
Wow, that's really interesting. I haven't been keeping up with Anarchapulco at all, and it's pretty interesting. Maybe somebody just made a mistake hiring her and just thought she could get it done. But you got to be philosophically aligned there,
right.
otherwise this is going to happen, and that's not going to work out.
Right, right. And so Jeff Berwick made a post. I was recently on his Facebook that Jessica Kill is no longer going to be affiliated with Anarchapulco, and he's going to be changing things up with it next year. The big takeaway for me was just to connect with all the people that are down there, because there's still a lot of really great like-minded people that all gather in one area. And some of the best, great conversations with people that just don't, they don't end in like just making those connections with the people that are down there and the locals that are living down there, the expats that have moved down to Acapulco. Just amazing people. So the event itself, if it dies and goes away, there's still going to be, people doing cool stuff all over. And, if they change it up and do something different next year and get rid of the current people that are running it, then I think, the people might come back and enjoy it. But yeah, several people had a lot of issues with what happened even this year. So we'll see.
There's some sort of phenomenon that seems to happen. Like we see this with all sorts of. I don't know if your audience is freedom oriented specifically, like anarchists or libertarians or what. But anyway, look what happened to Porkfest. If your people are familiar with that, it's probably not the same. Maybe this Jessica Kill was just a misplaced someone that they thought could get it done, but I mean that got totally upended and co-opted. Porkfest did too.
Oh, really?
And oh yeah, you're not familiar with that?
No. I was actually thinking about attending this next year, is going to Porkfest and checking it out. I've never been.
Yeah, neither have I. And the only way I have any information is just listening to Free Talk Live and them talk about it. And they're as positive as can be about it because that's the way they are. But yeah, it's kind of a buzzkill up there. And I don't know specifics, but now they have that Forkfest. Yeah, but they forked it, like in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they've been trying to do it on either before or right after Porkfest to capitalize the best they can off from that. But yeah, they forked it, made Forkfest out of Porkfest because this somehow, for some reason, these phenomenons keep happening with libertarian sort of philosophical events. They just keep getting co-opted.
I think I think that there are people that are sent in to disrupt them every time. I think. I mean, I was just learning about. So one of the guys that was at Anarchapulco is his name is Etienne de Boete Squared, and he actually was involved with some of the big think tanks when he was younger. And he in Washington D.C. and he shared a story, and it's on my Discord server, about having access to a $30,000 Lexus terminal, back in the 90s, and being able to see the rise of like militia groups that were happening until the event of the Oklahoma City bombing, and so. There was, I can't remember the name of the documentary. I just watched it, A Noble Lie. I watched the documentary A Noble Lie, where they were talking about how the CIA had made it a thing to go in and infiltrate, at least send somebody to infiltrate every single militia group in the country, and to kind of create a disruption in there. And so there's evidence in there that that these guys, the government was involved in the bombing of the Oklahoma City building, not just the one guy that they put the blame on with Timothy McVeigh there. Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, Timothy. I mean, once again, like that's if you look into that Oklahoma bombing and Timothy McVeigh, and there's a lot of evidence that that was staged and put together by the CIA, and I
Yeah.
mean it's far from the only one with pretty solid evidence there. I mean, you could. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's at this point, it's not really much of a conspiracy, is it?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're not familiar with that, I'd tell you to go check out that documentary, A Noble Lie, and go check that out for yourself. And then go check out the video go check out the Etienne de Boete Squared video that I have in my Discord server that I took at Anarchapulco, which points you to that documentary and his story about having access to the LexisNexis terminal. And he also wrote a fantastic book, and I got one of his files, which is called The Liberator, and where he puts everything together in like a visual format for you to easily comprehend, because most people are visual learners. And so it's a fantastic way of sharing information with people and having them, take the red pill, so to say.
Oh, interesting. But what do we do about it? That's the real question. All these things.
Well, what we're doing right now and what we're talking about is the
Right?
answer, in my opinion.
I agree. I think that's what we do about it. We pick up our own tools and build things ourselves, and maybe eventually those people will just fade away, and we won't even think about them anymore. That's the only thing I can see as a solution at this point. I mean, it needs to come from the ground up, and this is, I think, how that would happen.
Absolutely, brother. And there's a really great quote, and it is a meme that is by Etienne de Boete, the original one. And let me see if I can find it real quick, but I posted it recently. And
But and
it's
and how does the state fight something like this either? How do they subvert it? Like, what are you people out there doing? Building farm machines? Oh my gosh, we got to shut you down. You're building some tools? We can't have that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so it's uh that's something that you can't stop is you can't stop a person whose mind is free, in my opinion.
I mean, we could bring Cody Wilson into the picture, and at least there's a. We know that lots of people don't like us being able to print guns, but that's too late for that now.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was that's another thing that can't be stopped. It's information, and that exists out there, and you're not going to be able to stop somebody from using machine tools and having the ability to figure out how to manufacture things. And so, in my opinion, once your mind is free and you realize that you are a child of the Creator, and that you don't owe any allegiance to any system, other than being able to lead yourself, then you are the worst they can do is come after you and kill you. That's the worst they can do, and that's the you can't stop a person whose mind is free. Let's just repeat that.
Yep, and it's going to be interesting watching how these things progress from here on out. And at least in America, if you're talking about the Cody Wilson and his Liberator machine or whatever he calls that, it's turns into free speech, and we at least have pretty decent protections here for that. The rest of the world, I don't know anything about, but.
Well,
For the most
yeah,
part, all these things, whether they like what we're doing or not, what we're doing is speech, and that's at least we should have protection with that.
Yeah, so here's the quote from Etienne de la Boete. It's, I do not ask that you place hands upon the tyrant to topple him over, but simply that you support him no longer. Then you will behold him, like a great colossus whose pedestal has been pulled away, fall of his own weight and break in pieces. And I believe once your mind is free and once you're moving into the solutions that can create self-reliance and community and abundance, then the jig is up. Once enough people realize that you can operate outside and without government, then the game is over.
Yep, and I think that's where open source and other things too, of course, but that is, I mean, look what it did to Microsoft. They can't even defeat it anymore. They have Linux kernels in their operating system, and they have they have to give everything away now because they run Linux on their back end. I mean, they've been squashed by open source.
Yeah, yeah, and the beauty about open source and where I think that it is the ultimate solution of where humanity sits right now is that once you put out a design or something out into the world, then people are able to modify it and build it and make it better. You have thousands of minds instead of like just a cloister of people that are working in some corporation on one little aspect of some technology. You have thousands of minds that can collaborate and build something that are just like, you can outpace innovation of any type from any kind of centralized business or anything. So that's the beauty of open source, in my opinion.
Imagine how healthcare and pharmaceutical research would go if it was open sourced.
Yeah.
And it just it started with software, but it can be used with absolutely anything. We can open source the roads if we like. We can do it with education and
well,
anything.
that was actually mentioned at Anarchapulco this year. Was there were a few people getting together that were in the health community that were looking into some type of blockchain enterprise that could streamline a lot of the healthcare industry. And so that's something interesting that might be in development. I know it was one of the guys was it was Quinn Eaker, and I got some stories about that guy from Anarchapulco. He ended up getting in a fight with Jeff Berwick, but anyway, it was a nuts event. But yeah, there's like they're getting together. There were several people from this alternative health clinic that were there that were talking about a project with Brock Pierce to create some kind of open source or some kind of blockchain health initiative thing. I see Pensive just posted something opensourcepharma.net saying it's the open source pharma is the Linux for drugs. Yeah, that's interesting.
Hey man, that's what we need right there. And I can't see how it won't happen at some point. And but the problem is, once that starts, we're probably 30, 40 years from actually seeing, the real results if it continues properly. So it's just time, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, well, for anybody out there that is listening, I highly recommend going and check out a guy, Clive DeCarl, and you can look him up on YouTube. But and he's also on Facebook. But he has a good health club where he talks about a lot of alternative health treatments. He's interviewed people from all areas of in alternative health. He's done a lot of his own personal research. He healed himself of some from a vaccine injury, and he recently put out a video talking about how if you do catch this coronavirus, COVID-19, that one of the mitigations is to nebulize colloidal silver and pull it into your lungs, and that can help you fight the coronavirus from going crazy, because what it does is it creates it's creating a cytokine storm, and it's like causing your lungs to fill with mucus, and that's the big problem of what people are dying from, is that they're drowning from all that over mucus production in the lungs. So he was talking about using and nebulizing colloidal silver, as well as taking high doses of vitamin C and getting enough vitamin D, and then you'll be fine. So he's a guy I really recommend checking out, and there's a lot of alternative health information out there if you go and seek it. And really, if you're doing everything right, you don't really need to go to a doctor. And in fact, it's probably best that you stay away from the doctor's office, because they have no incentive to really heal you. They have an incentive to keep you ill, because then you'll keep coming back to them.
Plus, that's where all the snot is.
It is, man. All the germs are in the doctor's office, and so, you're going into the infected area when you're going to the doctor's office. But
Yeah, I've got one fella I know that he swears he told me he was going to die because he went to the hospital for something and ended up getting one of those resistant bugs and pneumonia and dying, and that's what he claims was what killed him, what was going to kill him, and it did within a few weeks.
absolutely, man. And there's a lot of these. I've got stories from past coworkers where they said one of my old coworkers was my professor. He's my mentor when I was working at the university, and he shared a story of how the doctors in Canada, he believes that they killed his mom from something that could have been healed by taking vitamins and things like that. They killed her from giving her these pain medications that caused like bad stomach ulcers and stuff, and she ended up dying of bleeding out internally. So
yeah, it's scary. They've saved my wife's life once. I'm glad that they're there, but there's a lot of risk to it too, and it's hard to make the effort and time to do your own homework and to know what's true, to do the right thing.
yeah,
It's just it's damn difficult to pull it all together and know what the right course of action is.
Yeah, well, I highly recommend checking out Clive DeCarl and watching his videos. If you're somebody that enjoys podcasts, just slap on a YouTube video of Clive DeCarl, and it's pretty much just a podcast format where they're having discussions with different guys and talking about that stuff. So you can be working and listen to that thing and getting new information from there. And that's one of the big things about the system as it stands now is like, when they print money and destroy the value of the money, then people are having to work like, multiple jobs and always running on the rat race and never having time. They're always tired. They never have time to go out and research things on their own. And that's a big problem of why the world is in such a state, is that not enough people are educating themselves on what's actually happening and what's going on and what the solutions are to take themselves out of the current paradigm.
Yeah, and you made me think of tools like Steam in particular. There's a lot of evidence that some people's information has been blocked and taken down, and with blockchains now, that's going to be impossible from here on out. Whoever wants to put information up, it's going to be there. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and so we were talking last night, and you're working on a lot of solutions for that, or you've seen a lot of solutions in how you can distribute your information better. We were talking about how you could use Steam in combination with the library platform to really keep your data out there on the internet, and then also IPFS.
Yeah, that's my belief. And one of us I don't know if I'm dropping packets, but hearing you, some packets are being dropped. I don't know if it's me or not, but the library and Steam, I can't quite put it together quite yet as to the how to make it all work seamlessly. But the two platforms, I'm sure, has all we need to um, put our information out, work collaboratively, and just in distribution too, between the two platforms.
Yeah, and I've already one of my past guests, Solo Miner, is doing that. He is using he's got an IPFS gateway that he uses to host. He has like an IPFS node. I think I saw Solo Miner here, but he can correct me if I get any of this wrong. But he's using IPFS node, his own hosting his own node for his videos on DTube, and then he is backing up all his photos into the library platform, and that's where all his photos information is being stored on that one. So that he's hosting those files for his blog and over there on the library platform. So lots of solutions out there right now.
Yeah, between the two of them, we got everything we need. I love library. I think that's just got tremendous potential, and they've been working on it pretty heavily and making lots and lots of progress there. But as far as media, everybody, our lives are consuming media, and you can host any sort of media you want on there, and you can charge for it too. I don't know how familiar you are with that blockchain, but I can put a video or a 3D model up there and put how much I want you to pay for it, and you can take it or leave it for that.
Oh, really?
So yeah, you can do free or with charge. Anything you want, change it anytime you want.
Oh, cool.
It's distributed. Yep. So like you're not. It works similar to IPF, but it's a different protocol. So it's kind of like similar to IPF and similar to what's that download program where you see
torrents?
Yeah, torrents. So they use uh, technology that's similar to both of those to get it all done. But yeah, so you can create a whole market on there, and I do video editing and stuff for clients, and I trade files on the library platform, and they have no clue that that's what they're using. They wouldn't have any interest in blockchain whatsoever, but that's what I found to be the easiest way to distribute files back and forth to clients.
Oh, cool. So is it lbry.com?
It is, yep. And they have .tv, I think, is their web interface to the platform. So their .com is their media interface, and then their that's where they have just their information of what it is, but their access to the blockchain is .tv, I believe. And plus they have other apps like Speech, SPEE.ch.
Okay, so what does speech do?
Speech, you don't have the ability to charge for your content on there, but you can store it and share it, and you can make folders on there with your own URLs. So it's a good distribution, but no ability to charge.
Wow, so these things can have the ability to interact with each other. Then these two blockchains.
It's the same blockchain. It's just different apps on them. As far as speech and library, speech is just an app on the library block.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I meant to say so. Steam can interact with the library blockchain in some way.
No, no. Library is basically a modified Bitcoin, the blockchain itself, and Steam is completely different tech. But you could build an app that interacts and exchanges in the background. You could do an atomic exchange in the background, and you could build an app that uses both blockchains, and nobody would know the difference.
Wow, wow, very interesting. So yeah, we talked about that you're a jack of all trades kind of guy. You do a lot of different things. One of the things that you do is like media and web development, and help build you work on people's websites, and does your I was looking at your website a little bit. Does your website Are you pulling things from Steemit directly? Is it just kind of like you're posting either just on your websites, posting to Steemit and things like that?
Are you talking about diggingdeeper.com?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I use SteamPress to publish. I publish everything to my website, and then it publishes into Steam from there automatically using SteamPress.
Okay.
And SteamPress is a plugin that works with WordPress, so that your blog posts from a WordPress blog will cross post into Steam. That's how I do that account.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with it because I was working on my own WordPress site there for a little while, and yeah, we talked a little bit the other day about doing an online educational website, which is where I'm looking to take that website. And you gave me you gave me a good link on comparing different people and what they're doing. If you want to launch your own educational website platform, I'll just post it there in the chat, the link that you sent me. But I'm gonna be looking into that, and I'll have to pick your brain on some of that stuff.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff, so I'll be more than happy to. And yeah, that particular link talks about what your options are based on like how much you want to do yourself versus how much is done for you via hosting all the way to shared hosting all the way to self-hosting and whatnot, because different people want different amounts of responsibility. That's kind of the what that's all about.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about last night. Is it's all dependent on like how much control you want over the site, and then how much you want somebody else to help you do and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, this is where I just wish that I could go back 20 years and have become a developer, a coder or something, because
Yeah.
just once again, I'd love to try to see if somebody could mash Steam and library together to do those in some sort of app. I just have no ability to do that myself. I can think about it all day long, and I know there's something there, but I would never be able to put it together.
Well, yeah, there's definitely some coders out there that listen to the show, and so if you guys are listening, then that might be, there's a cool idea there. If there's some way to create an app to get the Steam and library thing going on, so
There's
yeah,
probably somebody yelling out there who already did that.
yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah. Yes. So Steemit Qua is saying that thinks somebody's working on it. I'm pretty sure there probably is.
Of course. Yep. I mean, yep.
Yep. It's once the idea gets out there, and there's lots of really smart people out there working on all kinds of different projects. So yeah, that's really cool. So
it really is amazing how much development's going on these blockchains. It doesn't seem to be getting huge uptake in the mainstream, but there's just so much going on. It's improving vastly every day.
Yeah, you're telling me like the innovation is just constantly being pushed forward, and it's happening. It's like the sleeping giant ready to be released.
Yeah. I mean, I can see the debate that maybe it hasn't been ready till now, or maybe even not yet, but man, we got to be getting close. And I don't know that we really want everybody on our blockchains, but I mean, it's just amazing how much power there is there, and if we can get the right and as enough people to tap into it, it'd be really amazing.
Yeah. So Could you tell me a little bit more about your website? Like, are you and also this community that you've built right now? You just started a community on Steemit, correct?
I did, and of course that's like everything. It's just an experiment. But so my website, I'll give you what I can for the history. I started out blogging about federal laws a long time ago. So I would research all the amendments and laws that has to do with the amendments, and long story short, it turned out that basically the judicial system was trash, and none of it made any damn sense. They didn't. It's just chaos. So that was one thing that led me into Liberty, and I changed my blog to what it is now, which is more of just what I'm trying to do is create an index of all the open source, decentralized players and technologies out there. And I'm also trying to do a lot of poking at prohibition. So those three things together, trying to just create an index of
all these new tools that are being created.
Yeah, how they're being created, who's doing it, in trying to keep it updated. I'm nowhere near where I wish that it would be because I have a family and a job and too many jobs, really.
Wow, but yeah, it seems like you're doing you got a million different irons in the fire, and you must just be that kind of person where your mind just never shuts off.
Well, that might be true. I wish my body would follow suit, but my mind's definitely going a lot.
Wow.
So, I mean, I go off and on. I go in spurts. I really try to stay consistent, but it just, especially in the summer when I'm working hard, it just doesn't seem to ever keep going. I was hoping between library and Steam, I could get a portion of income, but that's not going to happen anytime soon either. So,
yeah, it's gonna have to be a big uptake in the whole crypto markets to really make that a viable thing, I think.
Yeah, and consistency would help too, and that's where I'm failing. All that together. So I'm not quite getting it done, and that's fine. I can play with it as I am, but so I use Steam for the community, and I try to index everything on my website, and then I playing with these communities now that have just come out. I started one, and actually I got to tell you what I did there. I did the horrible thing where I lost my keys.
Oh no.
I started a community, and when I did it, it didn't go through once or twice. And so I saved each set of keys that it gave me, but I saved the wrong set of keys. So my first community is I don't have the keys for. So I had to do another one, and I swear I have those keys. But so I'm just trying to curate all throughout the other people, people I follow and the tags and stuff. I'm hoping I can just use that community as a way to cross post and curate and find some more people doing more cool stuff.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So what is your take on this whole communities thing, and what do you think about what's currently happened with Steemit and the whole Justin Sun and Tron coming in and buying the Steemit Inc. out and all that? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't have any thoughts on Steemit and Justin coming in with his Tron. I don't know enough about that to have much thought. I've tried to read the people I think should know, but I don't really have an opinion there. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that we should be concerned, but I don't think there's anything that I can see that says we're in trouble or anything. But as far as the communities go, you have to admit Reddit's the king of the internet for the most part, and if we can have a Reddit-like tool, I think that's huge for Steam. And I like them. I'm trying to watch what everybody's saying about them as far as good etiquette and procedures. And I agree and disagree with a lot of things people are saying out there. But all in all, I think it's huge for Steam. I think it's if it works out, it's going to be great.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I think that one of the things is, and I'm sorry about this, guys. I think I have Telegram enabled on my laptop, and I'm getting a bunch of Telegram messages. So I don't know how to cut that out for right now. So bear with me on that. I'm sorry, but
Stuff
uh,
happens.
yeah. So I'll correct that for next show. It's just gonna be a little too much for me to troubleshoot that right now. But anyway, yeah, I think best case scenario, I guess, is just to the whole thing rolls on as it is, and then there's just better marketing things going on, and more people get excited about it, and then I read one of the posts from, I think it was Kenny's Conscious Kitchen wrote a post about it. Kenny Paltriano wrote a post about it recently, and what his thoughts were, and he was saying to always be ready to fork away because it's
It's not a bad idea. I think they should be ready. I just don't know if it's valid or not. I don't know if they should do it, but they should be.
uh, did I lose you?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it's just one of those things that yeah, just be ready to do something if things go and maybe not in the right direction, but yeah, overall it's probably a positive thing. Hopefully.
I sure hope so. I just really wish that we'd see some good news on Steam. It just keeps getting better and better. Good things happen. Bad news never ends.
Yeah, this community thing is exciting. It would be cool if there was a way to like share files or something in the community, in under your own little group page, because it's like the building of like how they have little groups that you can join and on other social media platforms and stuff, and share files between each other and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I'd like to know if that's a possibility. And
yeah.
that's where I say join with Steam or join with library. But they've
Yeah.
got it. But
Oh,
that would
do they have that right now then?
well, that's what library is.
Oh yeah,
Is
They're file sharing
file
community. Yeah.
share. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
they have video players, but that's what they really are is file sharing
Yeah.
at the heart. So
Yeah.
and you can charge for it, so that's nifty too.
Oh yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So yeah, we talked a little bit last night on another subject on talking about the things that you're doing in your in real life, other than the blacksmithing, is that you have your own like uh, mobile cell power system on your truck, and you're able to like kind of have a mobile workshop with that thing. Like maybe you want to tell me a little bit about that project that you have.
Oh yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, my farrier rig is my midlife crisis mobile. It's everything I always wanted. So it's a Super Duty diesel, but
Oh hell
the
yeah!
work body is it's a custom fabricated aluminum body with all three doors open all the way up, and yeah, I've got I think it's about a 3,000 watt marine uh, inverter on there. It's a modified sign with a twin battery bank, deep cell batteries, and all the tools and forge and drill presses and grinders and full of drawers and uh,
Ev-
everything that you could want on there. It's a rolling workshop, and with my own power.
Yeah, that is so cool, man. So how are you? Do you have it connected to your like alternator in some way that's going to be like recharging the deep cycle batteries, or how do you have? Do you have like some panels or something that are charging those batteries? How's that working?
It charges either on AC, I can plug it into an outlet, or it also charges off the alternator going down the road. And
Oh, cool.
it charges pretty well. I'm pretty impressed with it. So I can, if I'm half an hour between jobs, if I run the battery out half an hour between jobs, and I can use my drill presses and grinders to get another couple horses done. So it's pretty effective, and I tell you, it wasn't cheap. It's probably the best $3,000 I ever spent though for what I do.
Yeah, yeah, because you just have like all your workshop there. You don't have to fool around with hauling stuff in and out, and sounds like it's just kind of all ready for you there and an easy to access format.
Yeah, we built a swing out on the hitch, so there's doors under the body from the behind that access the hitch, and that's swings out my big. I think it's a 110-pound forge, blacksmithing forge. I'm sorry, anvil, and I also have a swing out for the forge that goes kind of within reach of the anvil. So those two swing out, make more room in the truck while I'm working, and it's no effort. I used to have to take my anvil in an anvil stand in and out, and move the forge somewhere where I can get to it and all that. But none of that effort anymore. Really, it's like I said, it's my midlife crisis mobile, and it's done right.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That sounds like a really cool thing. I'll have to check that out at some point. You'll have to send me some pictures of that. Um,
Yeah, I was while I'm working, I was trying to. I've got a video of it. I can share a link to you if you're interested.
yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, just if you got it up and available, you can throw it in the chat room if you want. But yeah, man, that'd be cool to check out.
Oh man, did I lose you? You there? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. Hello?
Yep, yep, yep.
Can
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I still got you. Yep. You still sound great. So yeah, we're um yeah, I just think that we had a little bit of conversation the other night on community as well, like moving into the future here, like what are your thoughts on your local community? Are people trying to be a little bit more self-sufficient, or are people just still, thinking that everything is going to be going along good for the good times are here again?
Well, let me bring it back to the truck. Just one more thing I kind of want to say that's
All right.
in line with what we've been talking about. I'd like to my plan. So I'm just about burnt out. I would really like to pursue more of this maker stuff, the open source and maker stuff, and
Absolutely.
I want to rock into basically a mobile maker station. So I think we were talking about before. I can roll down the road and help somebody build something, or we can do some sort of clinics or education or documenting. Even I've got a full arsenal of audio video equipment too, and I would love to be able to run around documenting what other people are doing. So that's what I have in mind for my truck um, going forward, and even building a trailer behind it, just something with a bed and toilet that I can fill up full of tools and yank down the road and go do the same thing, help somebody, or do whatever it comes up.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I talked to a lot of people in Acapulco. A lot of people are interested in that, um, and there are a lot of people that are looking for people to help do these things, and so yeah. Uh, I'm working on something with one of the guys down there locally in Acapulco, and then I was also talking to the guys that are putting on the event in Philadelphia this year. And I think what you're doing would be a great compliment for that conference as well. They're looking for people to come in and teach people in the community skills, like do skills workshops. So Yeah, I think that's you're a man after my own heart, sir.
Yeah, it sounds like we're fairly like-minded, and I know there's a lot of us out there, and I think that's what you were asking. I don't
Yeah,
know about my community. Honestly, I'm not involved with my community much at all. I'm much more involved with people around the globe just through the internet.
yeah.
I go out and do my job, and I'm pretty close to my clients because I spend an hour or two talking to them every 4 to 6 weeks. Uh,
Okay.
but none of them are interested in any of these things. I mean, they're kind of handy people. They run farms and deal with 1,000-pound horses and stuff, but like they couldn't give a crap about open source or
Decentralization,
or
cryptocurrencies,
the state sucks or
open source
they're just
engineering.
yeah, they're still just bitching about Trump and Bernie. I mean, that's all they're ever going to see, I think. And I've
Yeah.
been there, so I try not to get aggravated. But my community, no, I don't know. I just have no idea. But I know that there are plenty of like-minded people out there, and that's what I think the future, in my opinion, that's what I think the future is going to be. Is people who want to do stuff are going to do stuff, and there's going to be a growing separation between those that do and those that won't.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do it, whether
Yeah.
they do it or not.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Yeah, I think, and I've heard that sentiment by other people as well in the community. Adam Kokesh is a guy that expressed that sentiment to me as well. He said there's going to be doers, the people that are going to take action, and then there's the people that are just going to sit back, and you get what you get, I guess, if you're doing that. But I think another thing that I learned coming from this conference is that very fact that you said, is that everybody's at their different level of awareness on what's going on. And a lot of times when we're talking about the things that we're talking about, it is very frustrating that other people aren't seeing the big picture. But my last week's podcast, my guest was Rafael Laverde, and we had a really good conversation about start to use your differential knowledge of reality and start looking at people as potential clients and offer them value. And you don't have to get into the weeds on your philosophy and all that kind of stuff, but provide them value in some way and move into the positive direction that you're looking to go. And I think that was like, man, once he said that was like, wow, yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I can't think. I'm not sure how to provide value. I think they're good opportunities for people that will listen to you, whether they agree with you or not, to plant some seeds. But what does he mean by try to give them value?
Just like you're saying, like hosting workshops where you're teaching people real skills and things like that.
Yeah.
You're spreading your message by giving them a product that has value, and you're the ultimate goal is to get more people more self-sufficient, more skills and things like that, so that they're less dependent on the state. And so you don't even have to go into the philosophy, but what you're doing by providing them these workshops that are providing skills and resources to people are leading in the direction of not having a state anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, I think that when we start succeeding, uh, people are going to notice that, and that's when they'll start wondering what we're up to and coming to learn and figure it out too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's the thing that I finally crystallized in my life, is that I want to make these things and become so successful that it'll be foolish to stay in the old system. It'll look very foolish to even participate in it anymore. You'll be looking over and saying, well, dang, these guys are just living in amazing abundance and all this, and they're building up great communities and stuff. And why do I even want to be in that other system? when I can what I see what these guys are doing, they're doing amazing things. So
Yeah, I think that's the way to win. Just go out there and do what we're going to do, and people will take notice, and they'll some of them, not all of them, probably not many of them, will start coming our way, and we don't need all of them. And I mean, I don't want to sound cold and say I don't care about those other people, but they're going to do what they're going to do. I mean, look at the drug problem we have right now. It's uh, there's nothing we can do about that. We just have to show and provide a better way, and that's about the best we're ever going to get accomplished, I think.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's everybody's got to come to it on their own time, and you gotta have compassion for where everybody is at their level of understanding of what's going on and awareness, and plant the seeds. And yeah, I think it unfortunately it may come to a great people having to go through great tragedy to start waking up and taking different actions in their lives to really start understanding what's going on.
Yeah, I would argue we're there. I mean, if you look at back to the drug, meth and heroin problem we have now. I mean, I can go all day about why prohibition is really to blame about that, but individuals are doing what they're doing and ruining their lives, and man, it's a lot of them. And I think that's just humanity. I think there's just going to be a small percentage of us and a whole lot of them.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about that last night, and I think it is really like that that strength that you have to have, and being a person that can offer solutions to others, and to just like we're talking about, we got to quit waiting. We got to start doing it now. And I really love what you're doing, brother, and everything that you're working on, and I have a really similar vision on. If worst comes to worst, can become mobile and kind of pick up things here and there, and operate that way. And I think that'll also be maybe a key in the future.
Well, I tell you, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'll say that much. And I mean, I'm nothing. I'm just a horseshoer and a copy pasta guy. I can replicate. I can.
Yeah.
That's basically. I don't have anything original. I think a lot. I listen to podcasts and think about what they're saying a lot, and that's where my philosophy comes from. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. Because, I mean, I was a George Bush loving, flag waving. I can go on with some derogatory terms on that now, but I came from there, so anybody else can too. And that's where I hope to see more of that. And the internet is causing more of that. I'm sure we have all the tools, we have all the communications, and right in our pocket. I mean, we have more power in our pocket than all of humanity has for the last all of humanity.
Yeah. Yeah,
Now's the
man.
time to start building stuff and exposing people.
Man, absolutely, absolutely, brother. Same on the same exact page as you, and yeah, it's same with me, man. Like I've never been that great at any one thing, but I've been pretty good at like just trudging through and figuring and continuing to. If you give me enough time, I'll figure something out. Is what I've always been like. Uh, Always been curious
Yeah,
and
just
and
just fake it till you make it. Keep failing until you succeed. That's all there is.
yeah, and that's for the longest time for me it was one of the it was a huge fear of going out and trying to create something that was in my mind out of fear of failure. But once you get started, no one can ever make anything perfect the first go around that they do something. And you have to realize that, and you just go out there and you try, and you keep learning as you go, and it gets better and better and better over time. And then when people look at what you're doing, they're going to think that you're some kind of magician, but you took a lot of effort to get there. So you just got to start. The hardest part is just getting started.
It really is. Yeah, I tell my wife all the time. I do everything the same, whether it's building websites or building a box for the goats. It's at least 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of the iterations is just like things start to click. Yeah.
Yep, because like we seem to agree, or we're similar, I guess. Is I can I can build a thing, or I'm not good at anything, but I just keep working at it. And that's what we're going to find ourselves doing with these projects, trying to build stuff going forward. And we've seen it with Steam. We as communities we've flunked around enough now, and I think things are starting to finally look a little bit brighter. The product looks nicer. Things are getting better.
Yeah, and today I'm showing your profile here. I've got your profile pulled up. I've got it pulled up on Steam Peak, which is one of the nicer looking interfaces in my opinion. And
Fully agreed there. I love that. That's good stuff.
yeah, it's just a key of yeah, being able to bring people on and show them the power of these tools that we have right now with the ability to decentralize our information and keep it from being censored on the internet, and how powerful that of a thing that can be, and keep continuing to spread new information to other people so that they can take those tools for themselves and lead themselves, in my opinion.
Yep, there's no shutting it down anymore if we just let everybody know that this is out there.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, and well, one other thing that we talked about last night that I think is cool to share with everybody is you were telling me about a cool little welding device that is pretty cheap. That if you're interested in getting into welding, is something called the Cobra 6000 or something like that. Was what you're talking about?
I think it's Cobra 2000 or the hand rob. And yeah, that's my favorite thing in the world for horseshoeing. If I posted a video of my rig there, I didn't want to go out of the channel because I didn't know if I'd get cut off or something. But um, so to tie it in for my farrier rig, I need to be able to weld steel and aluminum. I would like to have a plasma cutter to cut nice stuff out, like plates. Sometimes I have to cut aluminum or steel plates out and weld them into the shoe for to help the horse. So I need the ability to braze and weld all those things. And the hand rob or the Cobra 2000 is an oxyacetylene torch that can do all that. I mean, a regular torch kind of can, but not really. It's pretty difficult. And this thing is, I think it was like $450 when I bought it, but it runs off 4 pounds acetylene, 4 pounds oxygen to do normal welding and brazing. You have to put an attachment on and crank the oxygen up to cut with it with the so-called plasma cutter attachment. But yeah, so that torch allows me to have what is, if I had a big welder, a generator, and a plasma cutter. I mean, we're looking at $6,000 to $10,000 worth of equipment that all takes up a lot of room, runs on electricity, which you can put a generator in a truck. But this replaces all that for roughly $1,000 for the torch, tanks, and regulators.
Yeah.
It's I love that thing. That's my favorite tool in the whole wide world. I play with it all the time. I like to. My son and I are out welding all the time.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Man, I when I started getting into welding, it really fascinates me too, because you're seeing, that electrical arc being pulled, and it feels like alchemy to me. Like I'm transmuting materials in front of my eyes.
Yeah, there's something to it. I It's an art, it's a science, but I mean, it's definitely an art. You have to spend the time and practice and just run bead after bead after bead to get it nice. And the torch welding may be more that way. I don't really know. I'm not an expert welder per se. I just play with my one tool that I have there, and it takes a lot of practice to make a pretty weld, but it's fully capable of it. That's for sure.
Cool. Yeah. So that's something I'm definitely going to be looking into is possibly picking up one of those guys because we talked about it the other day. Uh, Creating an off-grid power system. You don't have the power that you could want to run the 220 devices and things like that, welders and things like that. But if you can do it without having to use power, that's awesome, and still have all those capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my showing rig is, I mean, functionally an off-grid unit. I mean, I can plug in and charge my batteries, but I mean, I drive around with a rolling workshop, and that's how it's set up. I mean, I guess lots of other journeyman style people have to do the same, but um, mine might be a little fancier. I don't know.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah,